Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Leap English Podcast, where learners become speakers. I'm Lily.
Hey, Lily. Hey, everyone. I'm Jake, and I'm really excited about today's topic.
Jake, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. Actually, I've been thinking a lot about last episode.
Oh, yeah? What about it?
So, last lesson, we talked about those three powerful techniques: reading, shadowing, and thinking aloud. And after we recorded, I got so many messages from listeners.
Really? What were they asking?
Well, the most common question was about reading. People said, "Okay, Jake, I'm reading in English now, but I keep forgetting the new words. How do I actually remember them?"
Oh, that's such a good question.
Right? And honestly, when I was learning English, I had the same frustration. I'd look up a word in the dictionary, and then 10 minutes later, boom, I'd see the same word and completely forget what it meant.
Oh, no, that must have been so annoying.
So annoying. I felt stupid. Like, why can't I remember this word?
Yeah, I can imagine. So what did you do?
Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. My teacher in London taught us some incredible techniques for learning and remembering vocabulary.
Ooh, I love this already.
And the best part? These techniques are completely natural. You don't need flashcards. You don't need boring vocabulary lists. You just need to understand how your brain actually works.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So, what's today's topic exactly?
Today, we're going to talk about how to learn and remember vocabulary naturally. We'll cover three important things. First, the best method to learn new words. Second, why you forget words and how to fix that. And third, whether you should use vocabulary lists or not.
Perfect. So, this is like a complete guide to vocabulary learning.
Exactly. And I'm going to share stories from my time in London, real classroom moments that changed how I understood vocabulary learning.
I love story time. All right, let's jump in. Okay, Jake, so you were in your English class in London. What happened?
So this was my second week at school. We were all sitting in class, and one of the students, a girl from Brazil, raised her hand.
Okay.
And she asked a question that I think every English learner has asked at some point. She said, "What is the best method to learn new words?"
Oh, that is a universal question.
Right? And we all leaned forward like, "Yes, tell us the secret."
What did your teacher say?
She smiled and said, "There are many things you can do, but for me, reading is the best."
Reading again? We talked about this last week.
We did, but this time she went deeper. She explained how to read for vocabulary learning specifically.
Ooh, okay. Tell me.
So, she said, if you read for 30 minutes every day, you'll learn faster than people who don't read. But I want to show you how to get the maximum benefit from reading.
Maximum benefit? I like the sound of that.
Me too. So, she gave us specific instructions. First rule, the book or text must be interesting to you.
Interesting. That seems obvious.
You'd think so, but she said many students force themselves to read boring textbooks or news articles they don't care about, and that's a mistake.
Oh, I see. So if it's boring, you won't continue?
Exactly. She said, read a nice story, read about your hobby, read about your job, but never read something that bores you.
That makes sense. What was the second rule?
The second rule? Read texts where you already know most of the words. Not 100%, but most of them.
Why?
Because if you know most words, you can understand the story. You're not constantly stopping to look things up. But there will still be some new words mixed in.
Oh, so you're learning new words while still enjoying the story.
Exactly. And here comes the important part, the technique.
Okay, I'm listening.
When you see a new word you don't know, here's what you do. Take your dictionary or use your phone and look up the word. Read the meaning. Then immediately continue reading.
Wait, that's it?
That's it.
But don't you write it down? Don't you try to memorize it?
No, that's the genius part. She said, don't write the word on paper. Don't try to memorize it. Just translate it and keep reading.
But Jake, how will you remember it if you don't try to memorize it?
That's what I asked too. She explained. She said, your only job is to understand the text. Just focus on understanding. When you see another new word, translate it and continue. That's all.
That seems too simple.
I know, right? But here's why it works. When you read, you don't just learn individual words. You learn how words connect to other words in sentences.
Oh, so you're learning vocabulary in context.
Exactly. You see how native speakers actually use the words, not just definitions, but real usage.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. So the method is read interesting texts, look up new words quickly, and just keep reading?
Precisely. And she said this method is very effective. Just try it and you'll see how fast you learn.
Did you try it?
Immediately. That same day, I went to a bookstore and bought a simple English novel. I started reading for 30 minutes every night before bed.
And?
And within 2 weeks, I noticed something amazing. Words I had looked up multiple times, they suddenly stuck in my brain. I didn't memorize them, I just knew them.
Wow. So your brain was learning naturally without forcing it.
Exactly. It was like magic. But actually, it's just how our brains work naturally.
I love this technique. Okay, so that's how to learn new words. But you mentioned forgetting words. What about that?
Okay, so the next day in class, Wednesday, another student raised her hand, and she said something really relatable.
What did she say?
She said, I started reading more like you suggested. It feels good and my grammar's improving. But I have a problem. I look up a word in the dictionary, then 10 minutes later, I see the same word again and I don't remember it. I have to look it up again. Can you help me remember words better?
Oh my God, that's exactly what you experienced.
Exactly. And I was sitting there like, yes, thank you for asking.
So what did your teacher say?
She said it was a great question, and then she taught us something I've never forgotten. She explained the 5 phases of word learning.
5 phases?
5 phases. And once you understand these phases, you stop feeling stupid when you forget words.
Okay, I need to hear this.
All right. So our teacher said it's completely normal that you don't remember a new word immediately. Usually, you have to see a word 5 times before you remember it. Some words, especially verbs, you might have to see 10 or 15 times.
Wait, really? That many times?
Yes, and she said every word goes through 5 phases before you truly know it. Only when you reach the final phase do you remember the word very well.
Okay. Tell me the phases.
All right. Phase 1. You see the word for the first time. You have no idea what it means. You look it up in the dictionary.
Okay, that's the beginning.
Phase 2. You see the word for the second time. You think, oh, I've seen this before. But you still don't remember what it means, so you look it up again.
This is me with so many words.
Everyone. Phase 3. You see the word again, and this time you feel what it could mean, but you're not 100% sure. Like you know it's some kind of object or maybe an animal or a verb, but you're fuzzy on the exact meaning.
Okay. So you're getting warmer.
Exactly, you're getting closer. Phase 4, now when you see the word, you know what it means. You can read it and understand it perfectly. But, and this is important, you can't use it when you speak. It's in your passive vocabulary.
Oh, so you recognize it but can't produce it.
Exactly. This is where most learners get stuck. They can read and understand thousands of words, but they can only use a few hundred when speaking.
So how do you get to phase 5?
Phase 5 is the goal. This is when you can use the word naturally when you speak. The word is in your active vocabulary. You don't have to think about it, it just comes out automatically.
Wow, so there are 5 complete phases?
5 complete phases. And our teacher said, do you understand now why it's impossible to remember a new word the first time you see it? You can't jump across all 5 phases in one meeting. You have to see or hear every word many times.
That's actually really reassuring.
It is. She said, you can be happy not only when you learn a word perfectly, but also when you move from one phase to another. Every phase is progress toward your goal.
I love that perspective. So if I'm at phase 2 and I move to phase 3, that's success?
That's success. You're closer to the final goal, which is using the word without problems in everyday communication.
Jake, this is brilliant. I wish I'd known this when I was learning.
Me too. After she explained this, I stopped feeling stupid when I forgot words. I realized, oh, I'm just at phase 2. I need more meetings with this word.
More meetings. I love that phrase.
Right? It's like the word is a friend you're getting to know slowly.
So basically, forgetting words is totally normal and part of the learning process.
Completely normal. Your brain needs repetition. That's just how it works.
Okay, I feel so much better about forgetting words now.
All right, Jake. So we've covered how to learn words and why we forget them. But I have a question.
What's that?
Everyone says you need to know 3,000 words to be fluent in English. Should people just memorize a list of 3,000 words?
Oh man, someone asked that exact question in class.
Really?
Yes. One of my classmates asked, you say it's good to know 3,000 words. Where can I find these 3,000 words?
And what did your teacher say?
She gave an answer that completely changed how I thought about vocabulary learning.
Tell me.
She said, yes, you can find lists of the 3,000 most frequent English words on the internet, but it's very difficult to learn words from these lists.
Why?
Because the words aren't connected to any story. You don't learn what other words connect with them in sentences. You're just memorizing isolated words with no context.
Okay, so lists don't work.
She said they work for some words. Basic words that describe things around us, like mother, father, apple, dog, cat, book, car, house, city, water.
Oh, concrete nouns.
Exactly. Words you can easily visualize. When you learn the word dog, you can imagine it clearly in your head.
Right, that makes sense.
But when you get to abstract words like decide or opinion, lists don't work well anymore.
Because you can't visualize them?
Precisely. And she said this is a problem many students have. They start with lists, and it works at the beginning. So they think, great, I'll learn English this way. But then they hit a wall.
What kind of wall?
At around 1,000 words, lists stop being effective. If you want to learn higher level vocabulary, you have to learn from whole sentences. You need context.
So context is the key.
Context is everything. When you understand a word's meaning,
in the context of a sentence, you learn it much better. You see how it's used, what words it pairs with, what situations it appears in.
That makes so much sense. So what did she recommend instead of lists?
Reading. Again, reading. She specifically recommended Robinson Crusoe in simple English for beginners.
Oh, that's a classic story.
It is, and she said it's perfect for learning vocabulary because it's interesting, the language is simple, and it repeats important words naturally throughout the story.
Nice. But Jake, what about those 3,000 words? How do you make sure you're learning the right ones?
Here's the beautiful part. Our teacher said, every word that's important for you will come back into your life again and again.
Really?
Really, she said it's similar to how we learned our native language. When we were children, we didn't study from word lists. We just used the language, and important words kept appearing.
Oh, so natural exposure.
Natural exposure. She gave a great example. The verb Google,
Google.
right? That word didn't exist 30 years ago. Nobody studied it from a list. We learned it because we kept hearing it and using it. First time you heard it, you didn't know what it meant. But you heard it again and again because it was important. And eventually, you just knew it.
That's such a good example.
So, her final advice was, forget about lists. Learn words by reading stories and interesting texts. When you use English a lot every day, you'll naturally learn those 3,000 words.
Wow. So it's all about natural, repeated exposure?
That's the secret. You don't force it. You let it happen naturally through reading, listening, and using the language.
I absolutely love this approach. Okay, Jake. So you learned all these techniques in class. Did you actually use them?
Of course! I was so motivated after these lessons. I wanted to see if they really worked.
And?
So I got a job at a cafe right after these lessons.
Oh, you worked at a cafe.
Yes, actually, the job center at my school helped me find it. I needed money and I wanted to practice English with real people.
That's brave. Were you nervous?
Terrified. On my first day, I thought, what if I don't understand the customers? What if they speak too fast?
And what happened?
Honestly, it was easier than I expected because cafe conversations are very predictable. People want coffee, tea, sandwiches. The vocabulary is limited and repetitive.
Oh, so you were naturally going through those 5 phases with cafe vocabulary?
Exactly. See, you get it. Words like espresso, cappuccino, takeaway, sugar, I heard them 50 times a day. Phase 1 became Phase 5 super fast.
Because of natural repetition.
Because of natural repetition. And every night after work, I'd read my English novel for 30 minutes. I was doing exactly what my teacher recommended.
So you were learning vocabulary at work through conversation and at home through reading.
Precisely. And within 3 months, my vocabulary exploded. I wasn't trying to memorize anything. It just happened naturally.
That's amazing. So these techniques genuinely work.
They genuinely work, but you have to be consistent. Reading for 30 minutes one day won't change anything, but 30 minutes every day for 3 months? Transformation.
Consistency again.
Always comes back to consistency.
All right, everyone, let's do a quick recap because we covered a lot today.
Yes, please. What did we learn?
First, the best method to learn new words is reading. Read interesting texts for 30 minutes daily. Look up new words quickly in a dictionary, then keep reading. Don't try to memorize, just understand.
Second, there are 5 phases of word learning. You'll see a word multiple times before it sticks. That's completely normal. Don't feel stupid when you forget words. You're just moving through the phases.
Third, forget vocabulary lists for advanced words. Learn from context instead. Important words will naturally appear again and again in your life.
And finally, combine everything. Read daily, work or interact in English when possible, and let vocabulary build naturally through repetition and context.
Perfect summary.
And remember, you can't jump from phase 1 to phase 5 instantly. Learning vocabulary takes time and repeated exposure.
But if you're patient and consistent, you'll learn thousands of words naturally without forcing it.
Exactly.
Wow, Jake. Another amazing episode. Thank you for sharing your vocabulary learning journey with us.
Thanks for having me.
I love talking about this stuff.
Okay, everyone. We really hope today's episode helped you understand how to learn and remember vocabulary naturally. No more frustration with forgetting words.
And no more boring vocabulary lists.
Exactly. Now, we want to hear from you. Go down to the comments and tell us, what's your biggest challenge with learning vocabulary? Do you forget words quickly? Do you struggle to use words when speaking?
Share your experience. We read every single comment, and your stories help us create better episodes for you.
And if this episode helped you, if you learned something new about how vocabulary learning actually works,
Please hit that subscribe button. We post practical English learning tips like this every single week.
every week, new techniques, new stories, new confidence-building lessons.
And share this episode with a friend who's learning English. Maybe they're frustrated with forgetting words too. This episode could really help them.
Absolutely. Okay, one last thing before we go.
What's that?
To everyone listening, be patient with yourself. Your brain is working even when you think you're forgetting. Every time you see a word, you're moving through those phases.
Trust the process. Keep reading, keep using English, and those 3,000 words will come naturally.
Beautifully said. All right, that's all for this week.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
We had such a great time.
Now go read something interesting in English.
I'm Lily,
And I'm Jake.
and this is Leap English Podcast.
See you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.